ay ano ni makapaharap Torrento ilaku sarga ka itaw Boreo patay ni tini Taiwan ni misawina ti tanan ay ni ano marwas ansaw ni ko Boreo asariga ka nanangan na mo ko nakatira tungilaan na mo ko nakatira nanay hani ibuto na mo pilihan na mo ko jika no kami na iwas Torrento halatang numera sa kata Taiwan misali kaka niwi na ay ko halatang numera palagat hanan ko tamna na milas to Taiwan Torrento itsul no forto era dahil itini futur dahil Taiwan dahil ipusong ko halat numera alagay dahil ipula-pula ko alo numera milito mo ko pinaulan maamin itini pula-pula buka kitaan no sa amin saya sa ira milito mo mamak to sariaga no dahil Boreo misawi na titanan o Taiwan ila to pagkabana numago nanay sa kapakan kuli nga sila nanay sa kapakan kuliar aman ko tatihay kuliar nga ay kula katiray mapinan ko chikay no kami na ila tayo ni Miraw dini Taiwan usanay ko pagkabana tamanan ulitang no sa amin saya sa ati ila ko pagkabana to tamanan ulitang
这其实是一个3年的计划。台东县政府从行政院开始一个政策，就是向海致敬，打开台湾的山和海开始，台东县政府就有计划系列的往这个复振海洋文化的方向去进行。我们如何回到当初我们是南岛文化的一群？我们如何作为母亲之岛 （Motherland）？ 我们是怎么样在太平洋上去连接其他的岛屿？这个计划就是希望能够跟南岛文化的国家能够做这样子的一个海洋连接。那非常幸运的，我们有跟帛琉接上线。
It's over a year ago. I met with Magistrate Yao, and I was actually in Taitung for a different reason. I was there to visit some of the schools and the indigenous people. And coincidentally, I bumped into Magistrate Yao. And I think the stars aligned, I like to use that phrase, because she had mentioned to me that there was a collaboration efforts that she and Mr. Xiaohai were doing with the Palau sailors, Mr. Cesario and the Palau Voyaging Society, and she was very excited about this collaboration. And so when I learned about it, I got really intrigued. And so I said, you know what, I know Cesario personally, I know Shalom, I know some of the Dr. Yano, and from there the conversation sped up very fast. And she then made a couple phone calls, and all of a sudden Xiaohai was with us, and from there it led to a dinner. But before that, we kind of started collaborating on how the Palau government can work with them on this project. And quickly, I like the way she works. From that conversation, we then started drafting the MOU.
I would like to visit Taiwan, Taitung County. And I believe that we have a similar cultural values. Sailing, it's one of the most important cultural values in our lives. Before all the ships and everything, this is how we are in the old days. We sail, we from place to place, visit families. voyaging to Taiwan is to share the skills of navigation with anyone who is willing to learn and listen, and most especially as a Pacific Islanders, this is a way of our way of living, way of surviving. So we need to share the skills to anyone who's willing to learn and listen, so this thing can stay alive. Or else, if we keep it to ourselves, then the navigation skills will not survive. So we're trying to share as much as with our new generation, so they can carry on. 여기
我们习惯在陆地上用族群来分，但是在海洋上没有族群，而是当我们共同都在这个海中航行的时候，我们就是海洋的子民。所以在台东县政府来说，我们在做这个海洋的复振文化的时候，其实不分族群，不是只有阿美族在学习，我们也有排湾族或甚至平地人，他们喜欢海洋文化，也一起来做海洋复振的事情。
Joining this voyage is more of continuing my education as a pole master navigator to sail west of Palau towards where we're heading, Orchid Island, Taiwan. When we're traveling this far west, it's a little bit different. The currents are different on this side, and the winds, even though it's easterly trades, we're just kind of, it comes and it hits off the islands and it does kind of strange things in different directions. So it's more like learning, and in case in the future I can always remember and write about what I experienced on this trip, and that'll give me an insight on the next time I ever come by this way again, or I can pass it on to the next navigators that are going to be navigating through these waters, to give them a better understanding of what they will be expecting on this voyage. As far as traditions, we're in a seafaring tradition right now, bring a message to Taiwan, or especially to this island that we're going to, Orchid Island. We in the Pacific know that there was a migration out of Taiwan through maybe Orchid Island, Lanyu people, through Luzon, I guess it went by through Philippines, and then it kind of migrated down to the Pacific, to Polynesia, to Melanesia. Migration that we are still a part of that migration. We're just continuing. We're bringing back that migration to close this kind of circle that came down, and just to let the people know in Taiwan that we are a part of you. We understand that people migrate because maybe there are things that famine, wars, and whatnot, and people move on to bring people to safety, their families to safety. We're just bring that migration or that voyage back, saying that we're okay. You did a good job.
海上航行这么久，没有现代的卫星导航，就完全按照最古老的方法完成它。我觉得这是很宝贵的知识。这当然并不代表我们每一艘船都必须这样做，因为那是要很有经验的。但是它如果可以被传承，它的珍贵之处，就在于台湾真的曾经，或者我们事实上也真的就是南岛的一族，那让我们不用局限在台湾，而是我们面对太平洋心胸更开阔。除了这样子没有就是传统的方式航海之外，其实又有很多现在的方式，比如太平洋支架舟叫 outriggers， 其实现在在夏威夷，在整个南岛也非常的盛行，我们也可以来做这个。还有动力帆船、无动力帆船，也都是可以做的方向，所以我觉得变成选择性非常的多。这也是台东想要带领台湾其他对于航海有兴趣的，不管是团体或者县市或者是企业，这都是我们可以走的方向。毕竟我们是海岛国家，没有必要局限自己只在陆上的活动。
代表县政府的正副处长，还有我们的帛琉我们的雷处长，还有我们的观光部的部长 还有来自帛琉的各位好朋友、各位贵宾，大家平安。阿哥改非常的高兴在昨天的时候，我们在开元港举行了一个非常盛大的一个仪式，不仅展现了我们南岛文化的一个魅力，更体现了我们跨海洋民主的团结的一个精神。
First of all, on behalf of President Lips, I want to thank the government of Taiwan, Taitung, and the township for welcoming our delegation from Palau. We talk about the Austronesian family and the connection between our islands and Taiwan. But I think this voyage has really solidified that connection. A lot of times we hear people talk about the oceans connect us, this thing connects us. But I think it took this voyage to really realize that that connection really exists. Voyage means a lot to not only the Palauans but the indigenous Taiwanese. We trace our ancestry to the Austronesian people, and over time we've had a lot of discussions on how we're connected. The ocean connects us to Taiwan, the ocean connects us to the other islands in not only Micronesia but the entire Pacific. And I think this voyage represents how truly connected we are. And the voyage also represents how it was able to be done thousands of years ago. You know, when I was in the shores of Taitung and they asked me the same question, my response was, we left 2,000 years ago and we're coming home. And I think that resonates between these two peoples. And it not only shares that culture in the ocean, it also, to me, this voyage is interesting because when I listen to, last night I had a chance to talk to Andrew. I've talked to some of the people who sailed on the voyage. And one of the things that they mentioned to me was they saw a lot of big ships pass through. And here, this little tiny canoe, without any modern technology, is sailing in between these huge military, non-military cargo ships. And I think it signifies peace. It shows that there has to be safe passage between oceans. We have to recognize that the ocean is not one person or one country's entity. It belongs to everybody.
我们很期待，就是说，当我们在做向海致敬的时候，我们的最终想要到达的是什么？当然是因为台湾是海岛国家，因为过去的原因我们对于海洋的部分，我们是比较属于并没有开放的。而现在我们开放之后，我们是亲近海洋的目的是什么？显然，我们必须去发扬我们的海岛文化，就是我们说航海一定是其中之一。那航海航向哪里？只有航向兰屿跟绿岛吗？那如果航向兰屿跟绿岛之后，我们要去连接哪里呢？所以这次其实开启了一个想象，我们可以连接到帛琉，或许我们有机会再连接到其他的南岛民族。我觉得这是这件事情成功的之后我们可以做的想象。